you just said so many brilliant things. I think one, before getting into the practice, something that's really speaking to me right now is around listening, right, to ourselves. And I think this is something that I have to practice in every moment when I'm watching mind. And I think there's while I play with words a lot, I play with words again to create a somatic connection to the wisdom of my body, because when I'm speaking those words of affirmation, it's landing in an energy center, it's landing in a particular place in my body that remembers this wisdom was here. So that's poetry, that's the gift of poetry, why poetry is a gift for grief. And so I think trusting your gut, as you mentioned the override, right now, absolutely. I was just sharing this with one of the groups that I hold, Commitment to Care, and we are a 30-minute space. So that absolutely is about creating, that program is about creating short periods of time where we practice connecting with our spiritual and somatic wisdom, and we're repeating, we're getting in the reps so that the of that experience in our nervous system, and we create a little bit more room every day so that becomes a routine. So whether you're with me for 30 minutes or you are making sure that 30 minutes is protected on the other 4 days, because we meet 3 days a week, other 4 days of the week.
Because you do have 30 minutes. We do have 30 minutes.
We have the 30 minutes. The reason why I created this most recent session is called the time. And so I really, right, with the temporal and also with the poetic, right, and also with the idea of waste and consumption spending. So these capitalist terms that allow us to really recognize how the illusion of time has been used to control how we care for ourselves, to control, right, and how we also, in survival, not a defect of our own, but for survival, overconsume, overwork, overfunction, to avoid being here, being present with this experience, being present with the grief.
Right.
The designers of capitalist extraction know that if we had time to waste, that we could be free with our time and have free time, then we might slow down enough to feel, sense with what's here. And when we can do that and co-regulate, whether it is with our earth kin, whether it is with ourselves, and actually truly connect with the wisdom that is here in this, rather than revolving story of not enough in our heads, in our brains, then we might trust that we have enough, that we are enough. And
it's inside of us.
From there, you can take wild risks. But when we're busy avoiding the grief, and the grief is unmetabolized,
then when it's stuck, it's like stuck.
To do. Right? We feel stuck, right? The illusion of stuck. And then we're creating more busy. We're creating more stuff to do, more stuff to consume, to fill the void. Right.
So I feel that way for even when people come to therapy. It's like a checkbox. Like, it's like, okay, I went to therapy today. I did my healing or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yes. Listen, as someone who consumed bad therapy for 10 years before I finally got it together, and then I, when I think about that, I was consuming bad therapy. I was like, I'm checking this box. I went here. I
do my CBT therapy.
It was definitely she let me talk for an hour and say the same thing I've been saying for 10 years. And,
Girl.
and she even cried, but I couldn't cry. Like, so there were all
You
kinds of
had
things
her
happening.
crying.
I was doing something. And that orientation to doing, to override and avoid what here, grief that is here untouched. And so coming back to what we were talking about in our session today about the power of unmetabolized grief, which, as you spoke to what's, I think, on the collective, right, the transpersonal, what's happening, I think in every facet of every fire and war and genocide that is taking place.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
That it is the unmetabolized grief, the untouched wounding, the unmoved wounding that has been with us in this lifetime and for generations. That unmetabolized grief, when we are moving at a pace that requires us to keep going and trying to control circumstances out of fear of annihilation, fear of abandonment, fear of heartbreak, fear of rejection.
Yeah.
We try to control other bodies.
Yeah.
We
Fear
control
of
land.
It also like makes me feel like when I think about healing trauma and stuff, like I see like the power dynamics that are playing out right now and how there's so much fear of us being able to stand up to what we believe in.
Ooh, sis. Yeah, come on.
That's why I was thinking about doing like the trusting your gut, because like what I've been learning with like healing trauma, especially this is like really going on, but around sexual abuse, it just reminds me of like similar to like what we go through with power dynamics. It's like we can't, we're so traumatized, it's so stuck, that grief that's not been processed, not been metabolized. It's like we can't move through it. We're like, it's literally like we don't have no access to disgust.
Yeah.
Like we don't have access to like, this is nasty, I don't want this. We don't have access to that, you know?
That's right. That's, ooh, when you said that, we don't have access. And the disgust is important, right? Disgust, because there's like, right, we're
Like we should all be disgusted right now,
like,
but we're not.
Right, there's something that wants to be displayed, there's something that wants to be rejected. We know, the body knows something's not supposed to be here. I need to reject it, get it out. And right, and when you're denied, and I think this is so brilliant what you're sharing, right, when we're denied, or there's the belief, right, I will be shut down, my life force will be shut off, whether it's your income because you spoke the truth, spoke or experience out loud, whether it's your reputation, right, whether your family will believe you or not, whether there's abandonment, heartbreak, reject, all of those things. And I need to get it out. I need to get it, because my body is rejecting, and now my body is rejecting me. This inflammation that leads to autoimmune disease, right? Literally our immune system, when we haven't rejected enough,
high blood pressure,
right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's why like your work is so important. It's so important. It's in the 30-minute commitment to care. I can do that. I can commit 30 minutes 3 days a week. I can do that. You know, you say like, no, I don't have time, but like I can do that. I can commit 30 minutes.
You deserve it. You're worthy of your time. 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 Reclaim your time. You're worthy of your time.
Yes.
This is how we
it's
heal.
Almost like a resistance.
That's right. That's right. It is. It is an act of rebellion.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think in this uh-oh, hold on, let me turn my, can you hear me?
I have a time limit. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's so funny we're talking about, I have a time limit on my phone for social media, and my phone was like, that's enough, Erin.
Oh, oh, because you're sitting on it. Wait, how do you get that? You have like an app that tells you when you're supposed to get off?
You can put, it's called, I forget what it's called, like screen, it's in your settings. I forget the name of it.
Oh, I
But you can
like that.
put on time limit. Yes. You
You're
can
like,
put
no, this
time
is
limits
about
on.
healing. We could be here.
I was like, I'm allowed to be here. Stop. I literally talk to my phone that way. I'm like, I'm supposed to be here. It's okay.
Yeah,
I'm not doom scrolling. It's fine.
this is about healing. This conversation is like so good. It's so rich because I feel so seen because
No,
can you hear me? I know that in this
yes.
moment, like we're not going to be able to do this liberation work without the healing. It's like I know that we want to do one or the other, but it's like without this, we can't. We just can't.
No, this is our liberation. I think, we always feel like we have to, this is what capitalism does, right? Like extraction culture is going to tell you, you have to justify being well.
Mm-hmm.
You have to prove that you deserve to be well. You have to do to be well. My vision
Mm-hmm.
is that we separate the relationship or the transaction between our labor and our wellness and our health.
Yes.
Healthcare benefits tied to a job, that don't make no sense, but it makes sense. Dollars, but it doesn't make sense for humans.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
So we reclaim that. We reclaim our care. We are rebelling, right? That is absolutely right. Wasting your time is wellness.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
wellness.
So
Uh,
going back to the
go
gut.
ahead. Yes.
No, I was just thinking. I was like, because I get this question all the time, like about there's people that I think they're going with their gut. Like, so a person that always overrides all the time, like, so to me, it sounds like based off what you're saying, it's like gaining a muscle. Like this is like going to the gym. Like you're building a capacity to be able to practice trusting your gut. Is from what I'm hearing, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I want to be clear, this is a spiritual somatic practice, right? So I had a great teacher, an elder, say to me, I'm pretty sure one of my guides told me as well, very clearly, that your gut, right? Your vision, right? Your gut knowing, inner knowing, your source of power and connection to source. That is what we're talking about here, right? That gut knowing does not ever speak from fear.
Right.
It does
Right.
not speak from fear. Its job is not for survival. The
Mm-hmm.
the mind, the brain, right? The survival parts, the flight response, right? Those autonomic nervous system responses, that activation, that reaction, that yes has saved us before,
Yeah.
but takes
Right.
us out of the moment, out of our bodies.
Right.
That, while survival, that comes from fear. Your gut, your spirit, your inner source knowing is going to speak from love.
Mm.